Hello and welcome to the marathon versus relay video. And I want to begin this video by telling you a story. So when I was growing up, both my parents were teachers, okay? And they were not only teachers in school, they were teachers at home, right? So that means they brought the classroom home. So, most times around 5 a.m., somewhere there, my dad would come to our rooms, wake us up, hey, wake up, and he would sit us down and begin to lecture us, okay, like students. So we'd sit down and listen to his lectures, and they'll be ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. And you're like, really? Yeah. So that was my experience growing up. I grew up with teachers, and that was what I had to get for it, right? But here's the thing: in those lecture moments that would have with my father, one thing he would consistently say, or one thing he would consistently talk about, is how entrepreneurship is able to benefit not only you, but also the generations that are going to come. Okay. And he says it is the best strategy that anyone can use to secure not just the present moment, but to also secure the generations to come. Entrepreneurship is the way. That's what he would say. So he would tell us to embrace entrepreneurship and become entrepreneurs and not necessarily stay fixed on a job, because a job is not something that he can pass on to us. He would tell us that, because from being a teacher, he moved on to other roles in his capacity as an economist. And, despite him rising up to even director level, he wasn't able to pass that on to me, okay? He wasn't, neither is my mother able to do the same, okay? But the lessons he's given me about entrepreneurship and about what it means to be a successful entrepreneur, those lessons I have picked from him, and definitely I hold on to them. But yeah, I don't know what your experience is, or what type of home, what type of values you have been promoted or have been taught to you. But here's the thing. I never really appreciated what he said about entrepreneurship, okay? I'll be honest. I never did appreciate it. I thought he was just going on and on talking about it and the like, until I traveled, okay? When I got to travel, I got to understand different cultures, different societies, and how we face the same struggles financially, and how we have the same dreams as well. And when I traveled, I understood that the cultures that do very well are cultures that promote entrepreneurship, and not just entrepreneurship, but are able to promote generational entrepreneurship by educating their children to be entrepreneurs. So what does this mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that if I am a parent and I start a business, let's say I'm a bicycle repairman, it doesn't necessarily mean that my children should also be bicycle repairmen. No. But if I train them to be entrepreneurs, they can get that bicycle repair shop and turn it into even a restaurant, right? But the competitive advantage that that restaurant can have is that they deliver quickly. Why? Because the bicycles all around the city, because of the shop that I had and the connections that I built through that shop. You get the sense? So they can build on that value and make use of it. But to do that, they don't need to learn to be bicycle repairmen. No, they need to have the mindset and accept entrepreneurship, embrace it. And then they can take that and build it further. The challenge that we have is that most times, even if as a family, if I start a business, I'll start a business and then educate my children to have a job. So then when I'm not around, they will look at that business and say, what is this? And sell it, and use that money to do whatever it is that they want, not because they didn't learn the skill. Even if they learned the skill, they learned how to be the bicycle repairman, they took care of the shop really well. It doesn't matter. It's not the skill, okay? So what I learned is that it's the mindset, because then they can take that business and then grow it further into a bigger business. So, and one of the interactions that I had to learn this properly was with, he was a distant mentor at the time. This is Mr. Nguyen. He was a distant mentor at the time. I just saw him and learned about him from the internet. But then I got to meet him and interact with him, and also got to hear about his story and what, for him, he grew up in a home that was opposite to mine. In his home, he would be taught that he should get a job and, become director or CEO. That's what he was taught. So he had to get his own click and realization to become an entrepreneur. So I want us to just connect to his video and just listen to what he has to say about a job and a business, and how he compares it very well. He does it very nicely. And I'll leave a link in the description to his video and his channel, so that you can follow it and get to learn more from him. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. So let's just connect to him and we can learn one.
Since I was born, as I've been growing years after years after years, I heard only one thing from my parents, from the school, from the teachers, from the society, from the newspaper, from the television, everybody told me only one thing: be a good student, get good grades, pass all the exams, get a good degree, work for a reputed company, and become a super duper employee. This is the only thing I heard from the entire society. But as I explore the world, I came to an understanding that I was being manipulated by the society. And society programmed me to work for someone else rather than creating my own path as an entrepreneur. So today, in this video, I'm going to share with you one reason, just a single reason, why you must become an entrepreneur, why you should never work for someone else. So let me dive into the topic. To explain about the difference of doing a job and doing a business, or maybe becoming an entrepreneur, I'm going to use a topic called a marathon versus a relay. A marathon is exactly a job. Your great grandfather worked for 40 years. He started from a smaller position and he started climbing a ladder, and he worked for 40 years and came to a better position in a company. During this journey of 40 years, he made some money. He spent this money to educate your grandfather. But can your grandfather start from where he stopped? In the same company, in the same position? No, he cannot. Grandfather had to start again from the zero in a smaller position, and then had to climb the ladder again and again and again. So grandfather worked for 40 years, made some money, used that money to educate your father, and your father had to start again from the zero, right? Your father worked for 40 years, made some money, and educated you. And now you're going to work for 40 more years. Now, in this journey of you working for 40 years, can you start from where your father stopped? No, you cannot. You'll start from zero again, right? So you'll be building your journey by climbing the ladder of a company, step after step after step. Now, when you finish your work 40 years later, when you retire, what are you going to be giving to your next generation? What are you going to inherit to your next generation, to your son? Nothing. You'll just educate them with the money you have made. But can they start from where you stopped? Can they? They cannot. So this is the life of an employee. It doesn't matter whether your father is a scientist. Maybe he invested his entire life on becoming one of the most, or maybe the top professional in the planet. But still, you cannot start from where he stopped. That is employment. Now let's move to the other side as a relay. What is a relay? Relay is exactly a business, right? Your great grandfather started a small shop. Let's assume it is going to be a bicycle repair shop, a tiny bicycle repair shop in the corner of a village. Now he started building a smaller customer base. Now the people in the village get to know about this business. So he built a small business, a tiny business. And when he leaves this planet, he'll be inheriting this bicycle repair shop, which is now a slightly a bigger business to the grandfather. Now grandfather will start from where your great grandfather stopped. Now he will be building the business to be bigger and bigger and bigger. Maybe he will bring new equipments, new machinery, okay, new little bit of technologies into the business, right? Maybe he will be growing his customer base to be a little bit bigger. And then he will be inheriting this business, little bigger business, to your father. Your father start working upon it. Your father bring in new and new technologies into that. Your father start using artificial intelligence on that business. Use new and new technology. Now it is a massive garage which is repairing hundreds and thousands of bicycles. Now your father make it even bigger and inherit you a multi-million-dollar business. So where did you start now? You start from where your father stopped, right? So what did you get from your father? Your father had given you a brand name, a business which is well known by the entire village, the city, or maybe the entire province. They all go for that bicycle repair shop to repair their bicycles. All right. Now you got that business, the customer base from your father. Now you work so hard for the next few years to come, next decades to come, and you expand that business to be even bigger and bigger. Maybe you start opening up your branches in every city in your country. Maybe you convert it to a big business, right? Then what are you inheriting to your next generation? A multi-million-dollar big business. So you will be inheriting to your son or to your daughter a multi-million-dollar big business, guys. That is why you must do a business rather than going for a job. My father spent a lot of years educating me, instilling those values in me, and he became a CEO of a company. But I cannot start from where he stopped. I have another brother. He also cannot start from where my father stopped, right? But as I'm an entrepreneur today, as I'm a businessman today, my next generation can start from where I stop. So that is why you must become an entrepreneur. You must build a business rather than going for a 9 to 5 job. That doesn't mean that I don't respect the jobs. I know that jobs are keeping food on the table, but you don't need to consider doing a job for rest of your life. Try to find out a side hustle. Try to find out a vehicle to build your entrepreneurial journey. That is when you can actually inherit something to your next generation. So with that, I have a simple question for you. The question is, do you want to run a marathon all your life and inherit nothing to your next generation? Or do you want to start building your own business today and run a relay, which is inheritable to your next generations?
So there you have it. Are you going to run a marathon or are you going